Hey, what's up YouTube? Thanks for stopping by Izzy's Harvest Hub. And if this is your first time here, appreciate your time. I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible, but there's a lot to cover here, so let's jump right into it. Well, Izzy, what is surfactant? Why would I use it in my soil? Is it safe? How does it benefit? Is it expensive? So there's a few things that we're going to cover here. And so let's just start with what is surfactant. Well, this wetting agent is basically a yucca extract. Yucca is a root grown in South America and Africa. Okay, now we're going to talk about how the surfactant works. Okay, where to begin? So let's just start with what we have on the table here. We have two wine glasses, and they are filled with hydrophobic soil. It's just like dust, basically. It's just it's pro mix that's just dry. And we have here a bowl of water, and right here we have a little beacon full of water and surfactant. So here's what's going to happen. What's going to happen? Okay, we also, as a visual, to show you how water is held under tension, we're going to use this penny. So I'm going to reposition the camera for each individual study. The bowl, I'm going to pour black pepper into the bowl, and because the water is held under tension, the pepper is going to float. That's the reason the pepper floats. The water is all stuck together and it won't allow the pepper flake to penetrate and sink to the bottom. So we're going to see how surfactant breaks the water tension visually and allows the pepper to sink to the bottom. Okay, so what is exactly surfactant? Well, this is a lot of surfactant that you would use in the garden is plant-based. Okay, so now how does it work? Okay, I got a few notes here. I'm trying to keep track of everything. So this being a sticky molecule, the molecule breakup is kind of like this turkey baster. The molecule basically looks like this. So where's my, okay, so the shape of the molecule. Okay, so this molecule in the microbiology world would be called amphiphilic molecule, which means loving, basically means loving both. So ampha means both, and philic means loving. So this is how the molecule works. When you mix a surfactant into your water, like so, now we have a molecule that is amphiphilic, meaning loving both. And this is how it works. The head of the molecule absolutely loves water, and the tail of the molecule despises and repels water, tries to run from it. I know it's pretty, it sounds kind of bizarre when you say it out loud, but that's the way the world works. We're all basically just carbon and molecules. So what happens when I go to water the soil and it has the surfactant in it? This is how it works. Okay, we'll use this as an example. I have this full of water. So what happens when the molecule, aka surfactant wetting agent, when the molecule hits the water, the head loving part of the molecule goes straight into the water. It loves it. Now the tail of the molecule, it doesn't. The tail of the molecule is trying to escape the water, so the tail of the molecule is sticking up out of the water, just like this. Now, imagine having billions of these molecules floating on the top of the water. And so basically what's happening is the molecule is, billions of these molecules are pushing down into the water, and it's separating that sticky water molecule and therefore breaks the tension. I know, bizarre, right? Okay, so that's kind of a good coverage of how it works. And I'm sure there's guys out there that can give you a hell of a lot more education on this than I can. I'm just, you know, I'm just a dude with the camera growing a little weed, trying to have some fun. And so let's get on to our actual experiments here. So I'm going to reposition the camera, and we'll kind of go over each one of these and how it works. Okay, we got Mr. Lincoln here is going to help show how water holds tension. So basically what's going to happen, I'm going to start dropping water droplets on the penny. And maybe some of you all have seen this before. Ooh, that's 20 drops. Now, as if you guys can kind of notice over here on the sides, it's starting to kind of hang over the sides a little bit. So let's see how many more drops we can get on here. That's 20, I think. 21. Oh, 20. See, the tension finally broke. And if we can break that water tension, we're going to get all that moisture sticking to our soil instead of running off. Okay, for this next little test, we have just some pure black pepper. And what we're going to do is just go ahead and start dumping some of this pepper into the bowl. So what happens is all that pepper wants to just float to the surface. It doesn't want to penetrate. It can't sink to the bottom. The water's not allowing it because all those sticky water molecules are saying, nope, we're going to create a little invisible barrier. Basically, that's what's happening, and it's causing the pepper to float. So what we're wanting to do is break that water tension. And if we can break water tension, we're going to get a really uniform watering. And if we got uniform watering, we're definitely going to have healthier roots. If we have healthier roots, we're going to absorb more nutrients. Therefore, we're going to have more vigorous plants. Therefore, we're going to have better fruit. It's just that simple. It's like you have a race car, and all you're doing is just fine-tuning it. And that's what surfactant is. It's just adding a little extra tweak to your growing style to get those better results. And let's go ahead and dump some surfactant in there, and the peppers should all start to sink to the bottom because we're breaking the water tension. Yes, immediately. Soon as the surfactant hits the pepper, it immediately breaks the water tension and starts to sink. So, get out of there, Bubble. That's basically what we're looking at. Breaking the water tension to allow for better moisture intake. Okay, moving on to the wine glasses with a hydrophobic soil. Just to kind of recap, hydrophobic basically means to repel. This is like dust. So I did this once off camera, and it doesn't really pick up what we're trying to show as much as I'd like. Due to the glasses and the lighting, the reflection just won't allow it. But we're going to give it a go anyway. So we have water here. Okay, now we have water right here. We're going to, the right glass is going to be regular water, and the left is going to be the water with the surfactant. So I'm just going to come over here with the turkey baster and suck up some nice clean water. Okay, now once the water hits this soil, what we're going to notice, and you're not going to really see it on camera so much, is the water is really going to travel the path of least resistance. For these 2 cups, I'm using, pardon me, I'm using 20 mils of water per cup. So the 2 wine glasses are going to have the same amount of water, so therefore they should both be saturated the same. Well, that's not going to be the case, because we'll show you how well the surfactant works. So we have the water, and the first thing we're going to notice is, because the soil is hydrophobic, it's going to immediately start to repel the water, and what's going to happen is a lot of the soil is going to start floating. So we're going to say we're just watering our plants at home. Well, what happens? Boom, immediately all that water starts to float. Or pardon me, all the soil starts to float. So there we go. 20 mils of water. And now we're going to kind of look at the cup. Now, if you look down in this cup, and now this is something that just doesn't show very well on the camera, is all these dry pockets. And that's what we're trying to eliminate, folks. If we can eliminate these dry pockets, we're going to allow so much more nutrient intake. Now, if you've got dry pockets in the middle of your pots, you're not going to be absorbing all the nutrients that you're looking to. So we want to have uniform moisture. That is a key thing. You got to have efficiency on our nutrients. And here's something that, well, let's go ahead and do the other glass, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more. All right, so now we're using a turkey baster full of water that has the surfactant. And as a side note, this 1 gallon of surfactant costs like $20. It'll last like 1,000,000 years. You really only mix like 1 mil per gallon. It goes a long way. Okay, so now we have the soil, and now we're going to stick in the 20 mils of water with the surfactant. Come on out of there. As you can see, it's a surfactant is basically kind of like a soap. Okay, now that both wine glasses have been filled with water, one just plain water, the other with surfactant. And this is the part that it really doesn't show up on camera so well, but you want to kind of evaluate these dry pockets. And so what happens is the molecule, the tail part of the molecule, it's trying to get away from the water, so it attaches itself to the soil. And basically that's how it pulls in the water. So I apologize, it's not the best example of showing kind of like where the dry pockets are at. Okay, if you guys have stuck around this long, hey, I really appreciate it. So let's just kind of do a little recap. What we're trying to do here is effectively absorb as many nutrients as we can. And the highway for those nutrients happens to be water. So when we're dealing with hydrophobic soil that wants to repel the water, if we add a surfactant, it only makes our grow that more successful. Now, something else that I want to recap on for the guys that are using synthetic fertilizers. Now, if you're using synthetic fertilizers, you should definitely be using surfactant to make sure you don't have any dry pockets and all that liquid fertilizer is being absorbed by the roots. Something else that's really, really important is at the end of our grow, a lot of times if you're using synthetics, you flush. So you're flushing all those salts out of your soil. They say that the salts may affect the flavor profile and the terpenes, which is true, I believe. That's why I don't use synthetics. I'm an all organic guy. I think the terpene profile is entirely different. But if you're using synthetics, that's cool. What you want to do is at the end of your grow, you're going to flush all those salts out to try to improve your terpene profile. So if you're using a surfactant, that's going to allow you to penetrate and grab onto all that soil, and therefore it's going to help flush that soil. So I think that's it, you guys. I enjoyed making this video, and here on my channel, I'm trying to do things a little differently. There's so many great cannabis growers out there. I don't want to regurgitate everything. So luckily there's a couple tricks up my sleeve that I use that I don't really hear a lot of people talking about. And here in the upcoming weeks, I'm going to be offering a bi-weekly Izzy's tips and tricks video. For example, next week, I'm going to do a video on how to make a DIY home watering reservoir for like $50. And that involves a filter, and that's going to help get a lot of our heavy metals out. If you're not using a filter, I highly recommend it. This is like Walmart brand, 20 bucks, and it will last, depending on how much you're watering. For me, it usually lasts about a harvest. A couple water hoses, and a trash can, and most importantly, this guy right here. This is going to allow me to hook a water hose up to my kitchen sink. Sorry about them fingernails. That's what happens when you play in the dirt every day, all day, 24/7. So that's great. I see a lot of these guys just watering their plants out of a 5-gallon bucket. So next week we're going to do a video on a inexpensive water reservoir. One last thing. If you guys feel like using a surfactant will work good for you in your grow, would you leave a comment? And if you're already using a surfactant, I'd like to hear about that too. I'm really curious of who's actually using water agents and who's not. So until next time, I really appreciate y'all's time. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
I just found some notes that I made last night. So basically, this is what the molecule looks like. See, it has a tail on it. That's the X's and O's, and then it has a head that's penetrating down through the water. And this type of molecule in the microbiology world would be called a amphiphilic. Amphiphilic, which the word means loving both. So here you have the head, which loves the water, and you have the tail that loves the dry. And so what happens is the head of the water penetrates, pardon me, the head of the molecule penetrates the water, and the tail sticks out of the water. So what happens when you have billions of these molecules trying to penetrate the water? It breaks the water tension. It's that easy.